All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, my regular viewers, listeners, and watchers. And of course, if you happen to be here for the very first time, welcome. Before I go any further, my name is Rahul George, India's premier iHypnosis life healer coach and your personal guide. So, of course, to all our regular viewers, listeners, and watchers of this very, very special pod, the iHypnosis Life Coaching Journeys, you know that this pod has been created for you, especially if you happen to be a healer, a coach. Maybe you've just begun this journey or you've been on it now for some time. And we know that this journey is a long and fun-filled journey with a lot of challenges and a lot of learning and growth along the way. And to facilitate this, to make sure that you keep showing up, this pod has been created where we have curated guests, people who are doing some truly amazing work in the space of coaching and healing. And of course, I have somebody very, very special on our pod today. And of course, you'll get to know more about her briefly. So, with that, of course, Geeta, this is your cue. You can unmute yourself and turn your camera on. And fingers crossed the camera is working. So, just a little bit of a
Yeah,
background here. We did have a bit of a technical sort of, a bit of a wrestle, but it's all good and we are ready to roll. So, firstly, Geeta, thank you for making the time and thank you for being here. So, wish you all the best in all that you're doing. But more importantly, this is an opportunity for people to get to know you and your story and, how you got into this space. So, maybe to start with, Geeta, firstly, welcome. And it's really good to have you here.
thank you, Rahul. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Awesome. So, Geeta, maybe to start with, the quintessential question, which is, when someone asks you, so Geeta, what do you do?
Hmm. So, what do I do for now? I
Hmm.
think if I have to answer it in one word, I just provide counseling and healing to my near and dear
Nice.
ones, and maybe anyone who comes across to me and is in need of it.
Beautiful. So, when you say counseling and healing, I know this is again something that you would have developed over a period of time. This
Hmm.
frame, when you say it's so easily, it just rolls off your tongue. It's like you've done this so many times, you've said this so many times because this is who you are and this is what you do. So, I'm sure this is an opportunity, for people who are watching this, people who our audience is primarily healers and coaches, and of course, people who are on the healing journey. So maybe if you can take us back in time, like when you say, this is what you do, how did you get to this point? Like, what's your story? So do share with us, how all of this came to be.
So it's a long story actually.
Hmm.
So to begin with, academically, I'm a CA, a chartered
Okay.
accountant. I have worked
Uh-huh.
for more than a decade. And with all
Mm,
of that logic mind and the numbers, the calculations, uh, the word counseling and therapies came to me
right.
as someone who's sitting to advise you,
Mm,
besides your family and your
mm,
relatives and friends. So you have someone who's advising you and is even charging you for it. So that's
right.
how it sounded to me. But it all started when, there were some questions in my life which were too big for which I didn't have answers.
Mm,
And that's when I thought, I really need something more than these relatives and friends. And
right.
these questions were not logic driven, these questions were more of emotion driven.
Mm,
So that's how I think I started getting into learning counseling, understanding
mm,
the emotions,
mm,
learning different modalities. Because while we may not believe, but most of our decisions, are driven by our emotions.
mm,
So even the fact that I did my CA was not a very decision mind oriented. It was a decision of my heart.
wow.
So for me, everything I think comes from the heart first.
Mm, mm,
And I could relate to it. There were situations where I would get an anger outburst, and then post that I would think,
mm,
oh my God, I think I overreacted and I shouldn't have done that. Now,
mm,
anger may sound very small, but there were there were big and huge outbursts. So I would get angry, occur the way. So
Mm,
aside from understanding how emotions trigger, be it anger, be it confidence, so all of this led me to understand
mm,
what emotions can do to us and how
mm,
we could probably heal our emotions.
right,
So while
right.
we do adopt a
Mm,
lot of Western culture
mm-hmm,
in terms of their clothes,
mm,
in terms of their food, in terms of their language, right? Hindi Rashtra Bhasha hai, but we speak English.
right.
In spite of having vada paos, we eat burgers.
Mm,
In spite of having the Indian attire, we prefer the Western attire. So I thought, might as well see what they have to heal their emotions. And that's when I
mm,
came across different healing modalities.
mm,
Bach flower being one. And Bach flower remedies are like remedies which are, there in the market to address your emotions. And
mm,
when I took those remedies for myself, for my family members, I saw it was working and it was working beautifully.
mm,
So yes, I still had people who were saying, why are you doing something to, heal your emotions? They are just natural. It's
mm,
just a phase and you will come out of it. You do
mm,
meditation, you do chanting, listen to Gayatri mantra, wear a ring and do this and that.
right.
Yeah, all of that is there. It works. But what really I understood is there is a proper medicine or a remedy that can be used to heal this.
Mm,
So I like we have fever, we do take home remedies, but we do take crocin and then go to
mm,
the doctor and pop pills as well, right?
right.
So what's the harm in addressing emotions in a proper way?
Mm, mm.
So
So,
that's what
Geeta, if
made
I
me
may,
drift to it.
perfect. So you've explained it, in literally like in the flow, right? Uh, if I may ask you this, can you sort of take us back in maybe in a sense like a sequential journey? Meaning, like, what was your earliest memory of like, okay, I really need to, take care of this for myself? And then what happened next? Like, walk us through that. The reason why I'm asking you to share this is also because there are a lot of people who are like us on the journey, and I know that they will be, really benefited by hearing your story of how along the way there were different signs that you noticed. And now you have, as they say, you have the advantage of hindsight. So you're able to look back and
Hmm.
say, yeah, you know what? This happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And along the way, now I understand why I did those things, right? You would have had,
Yeah.
uh, so
So there
you
were
can go as far.
multiple
Mm-hmm.
stories, for
Right.
this. Like to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
my postpartum depression when I delivered my baby girl,
Mm,
and everyone else was leading a normal life as nothing had happened,
right.
and actually nothing had happened in their life. I had
Mm,
delivered.
right.
So, and it was a thoughtful decision to have a baby, but
Mm,
still, I did have that phase where, I felt everyone is doing everything and I am tied up to this responsibility and a kind of depression seeped in,
mm,
the confidence issue because my size had blown up big time. So
mm,
I started avoiding going to outings, thinking that,
right.
oh no, I'm not looking good. So there was a low confidence, low self-esteem. There was a depression.
Mm,
Then there were confidence issues, and then I didn't know what exactly to do. I didn't know which doctor to
mm,
meet to ask for a
right.
low confidence medicine.
Mm,
And so that's when, like, when I was just scrolling the Instagram and something like this happened and it came. So this was
mm.
first instance.
Around
The
when was
second
this?
was when my
Like how long ago?
this was 2019.
Wow. So that so
2019.
relatively or tentatively, it's like been about 6 years of this journey now for you.
Yes. So
Mm,
I was taking Bach Flower Remedies earlier, but I didn't
mm,
know the impact of it could be this great,
mm,
because I was at the stage of like, my life is over.
mm,
This is it. This is my child, and this is my duty. And there is no
mm,
Gita. There is only a mother.
mm,
And with those things, I was probably not nurturing the way I really wanted to nurture my child.
mm,
And besides just me, when my daughter was a year old, she
mm,
developed eczema.
mm,
And we tried various doctors, pediatricians, skin
mm,
specialist,
mm,
and many, many more.
Mm.
And eventually, Bach Flower had remedies even for that.
Mm.
I mean, as I said earlier, it works on emotions, but
Mm.
eczema is not an emotion.
Mm.
Also, she was just a year old. So it was
Right.
somewhere my emotions, my
Mm.
things that were passing on because I was still feeding her.
Mm.
And if, there were days when I would feel, why did I do this? Why did I conceive? Why did I become a mother?
Mm.
I was better off. I mean, I had freedom. I was doing things my way. So it's a long, long story, and
Mm.
it's a little heavy one also
Of
because
course. Yes.
I realized that uh, for me, because as I told you, being a CA, emotions, depending on this, that Bach flower will work or healing will work or counseling will
Mm.
work was my mindset was very,
Mm.
narrowed, restricted.
Mm.
Okay, it might work, it may not work. If it works, it may work just for 50%. But when I saw the shift in me, in her, is when, there was 100% faith that yes,
Mm.
this works. And from there, I started learning different modalities. I learned Reiki after that. I learned
Mm.
emotional freedom technique, which is another technique to deal with your emotions. I
Mm.
read many books, which I had read earlier, but I had just read it for the heck of it, like, Lewis Hayes' book, Heal Your Mind.
Mm.
And I had read many books, but I was like, हाँ ठीक है लिखा है this emotion and this will be the
Mm.
physical outcome. I couldn't really relate to
Mm.
those things in terms of it being really existing. But when I saw
Right.
this in my own life, like I got a migraine, which I
Mm.
never had, and there were umpteen other things like that were happening in spite of
Mm.
me taking care of all my vitamins, going for walk. I was not losing weight. All that emotional weight was being gathered. My shoulder and neck pain. I developed a C4, C5 injury. I had to
Wow.
take steroids for it. So I have had a lot of ups and downs to be 100%
Mm.
sure that yes, emotions matter.
Mm.
Emotions can impact, and emotions can impact not only you, but also your near and dear ones. So why do we ignore
Mm.
them? Why
Right.
don't not we acknowledge
Mm.
and address them? So that's how I got into this journey. And since 2019, I have been doing various courses. I have been reading. I have been working on myself, my family, my near ones.
Mm.
Because it's like जिस चीज पे मुझे अब faith आया, I can
Uh-huh.
give it to someone else.
Mm.
And because it's not numbers, I can't show you that this is the tax, this is your
Correct.
income, and this is the tax you have to pay. I can't show that. So I
Correct.
have to feel it, and I have to feel it
Mm.
in its entirety. Only
Mm.
then I can, probably sell it to you. Sell may
Mm.
not be the word in terms of money, but only I
Mm.
can then, make you believe that
Mm.
this is how it works.
Correct.
So,
Mm. Wow.
and
Beautiful. So basically from 2019 when you started to notice this, that's where you kind of began the journey. And from there on out, you've been, offering it to more and more people, family, friends, and I'm guessing that circle has widened with time. Correct?
yeah, so absolutely it has.
Beautiful.
But still, there are some people who want to, stay in that zone.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's a choice, it's a personal choice.
Sure, sure. So, a second question, and you've said this in different ways already, which I'm very curious to know, like, how did this come into your space? You talked about Louise Hay, you talked about Bach Flower as well, which is something that had already come into your life even before 2019, right?
Yes.
So, walk us through that, like, because I believe that, if you come across these modalities in your life, it could be yoga, it could be, any kind of remedy, therapy, could be a book, like say, what Louise Hayes talks about. Eh, Regardless of what it is, there's somewhere it's like whether if you believe in karmas, it's somewhere, you're being guided even before you know it. Like post
Yes,
2019, it became more and more clearer as time went by.
exactly.
But
Hmm.
before that, this sort of was there in your life. You had these guides, if you want to call it that, right? So walk us through like how did that come into your life? When did you notice it, or how did you come across these therapies and say even Louise's? Because not everybody knows about Louise, right? So
Right.
these must have sort of been chance moments or something that led you to find and where it started to kind of have a meaning in your life?
Right, right. So that is another decade also, if I
Wow.
don't know how. So in 2010, something had happened in my personal life, which was a
Mm,
very, very big thing, which I
mm,
was completely shattered with.
mm.
And there was a cousin of mine who was into alternate healing therapies.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was the first
Got
time
it.
when I actually consumed Bach Flower Remedies without knowing what it is. So she just told me,
Right.
she gave me some crystals, she gave me a remedy mix.
Mm.
And we used to attend gratitude courses,
Nice.
manifestation courses, and we used
This
to
is
go for
2010.
various satsangs. Yeah,
Wow,
2010,
beautiful.
2010,
Mm,
right? And I was working full time that time.
mm,
So a part of me was like, okay, theek hai, like,
mm,
let's see how it happens. And so we used to go for a lot of these courses,
mm,
and we used to do a lot of these things. So I was kind of aware, like I have even
mm,
attended shivers of Baba Avdut
mm,
Shivananji. I don't know if you know him,
mm.
but his discourses are very nice. And
Right.
so I used to do that chanting and all, जो Hindu traditions है वो सब
Mm,
चालू था,
mm,
but it requires a lot of time.
mm.
And sometimes, when you're not ready for the
Yeah,
decision,
yeah,
you just keep on doing. So
yeah.
you think you're reading the secret, you think you're reading
Mm,
the law of attraction, and you're
mm.
attracting, but your logic mind is way too big to um, you know
Yeah,
let
so
that
true.
manifest. And
Mm,
there was a big shift that happened. And so वहां से जर्नी थोड़ी बहुत शुरू हुई. I learned counseling from there is an
okay.
institute called Heart to Heart Institute. From there, I
Mm,
did my counseling course. I started reading that time. So I knew all of
mm,
this, but the
mm.
bigger transition happened when I did it with proper awareness and
Right, right.
acceptance of
Mm,
the thing, The
right.
earlier version was because someone is saying, I am
Mm,
doing this.
mm,
सीक्रेट पढ़ के देख लो, ये लिख लो, शायद हो जाएगा.
right.
So it was like, as I told you, earlier, some people like to play the victimhood. I have done that too in my life.
Mm,
I was doing it half-heartedly, but I was liking the attention that people were
right.
giving. Oh, बिचारी के साथ ये हो गया types.
Mm,
And then one fine day, I was like, no,
right.
enough. I need to get out of this
Mm,
completely.
mm.
So
Got it.
so 2010 is when I started doing this. 2016 is when I did my counseling. I started
Mm,
learning about crystals and things like
mm,
that. And finally, the bigger thing happened in 2019. Maybe when I saw my daughter also,
mm,
because
mm.
my emotions were impacting her
Right.
also. So
Mm,
that was the major shift.
mm, mm. Got it.
So
Beautiful. So walk us through because, again, uh, if you go back in time, we're talking like 5 years ago, no one was spared of that time period, right? 2020. And everybody had their own experiences, right? Some people had
right.
horrific experiences, some people had just scraped through by the skin of their teeth, so to speak, and some people relatively seemed unscathed, if you want to call it that, right? Meaning nothing major happened to them or around them, so
Hmm.
it was like हाँ ठीक है था लेकिन maybe I was fortunate so कुछ नहीं हुआ, that sort of a thing, right? So either ways, I'm
Yes,
saying
yes.
regardless of how the experience that it was, um, in your journey, right? How was that transition from 2020 to 21? Because by then, as you said, you were starting to do a lot more learning. You were starting to, like, it was your mind, it was your heart, your instinct that was leading you versus 10 years before, give or take about 10 years ago, it was someone saying, hey, maybe try this, it can work, or it might help you. This
Hmm.
was you kind of leading that journey that you were on. What was that like for you, that those 2 3 years, 2020, 21, 22? What was that journey like for you, getting into this space and not only working for yourself but also helping other people? How was that transition for you?
I think I would call it as an eye-opener, because
Mm,
that's when we started valuing um the existence, the fact that we are breathing, the fact that we are
right.
alive and we are
Mm,
healthy, and we have everyone in our family with us. I
correct.
think That's what was the most important thing that we learned at that point of time. Yes,
Mm,
money, of course, matters. It's
mm,
probably the next thing
mm,
to breathing because
mm,
it's a materialistic world. But
mm,
having said that, the fact that we are alive and we are existent, that was
mm,
an eye-opener that time. And maybe it was also destiny for me to get started on the journey at particularly that time, you know.
right.
Maybe earlier I wasn't this time, or I wasn't as matured enough earlier.
Mm,
So, or maybe it was just, like, of course, the child comes in only 9 months, but maybe
mm,
the conception happened in 2010 and then the actual version came in 2019
right.
because by then I had read quite a lot.
Mm, mm, beautiful. It's like you were ready
So the
then,
power
right?
of subconscious mind, law of
Yes.
attraction or manifestation,
Mm,
gratitude,
mm,
going for various kind of courses. And so
mm,
it kind of kick-started, but then eventually. And because everyone was at home, everyone was hale and hearty. Thankfully, we did
mm,
not have COVID in our house. But
mm,
whenever I would listen to a friend or someone who's lost someone because of the pandemic,
mm,
it was it was very shocking. So
mm,
that's when you really understand that, the fact that we are there for each other, that really matters a
mm,
lot.
mm. Beautiful.
So
Beautiful. So we've kind of now come along with you on the journey, as you said, uh, you've walked us through like what happened from the 2010s and then now, just before COVID and then, you know, a year or 2 years post COVID. So if you now kind of share with us like what is life like now, because you've obviously, from the way you framed it out for us, it's been 15 years in the making. So
yeah.
what is it that, like, what's life like now in terms of the work that you do, and how's that, how does that play out for you? What do you do, uh, you know on a day-to-day basis in the work that you do today, Geeta?
So I think life for me is more meaningful now.
Mm,
While I'm not saying earlier it wasn't.
mm,
Earlier, I would help people, manage their money in terms of their taxes.
mm,
Now I am here to empower them in terms of their
mm,
emotions
right.
because that matters big time. So
Mm,
that's it in one line. I mean, if I can just go on speaking about it, but it's more meaningful because money can be earned, but if someone is really slow, low in terms of their emotion, there are people who've even taken drastic steps. So if you
right.
save one life, you save a lot of things. If you save one relation, probably who are in their blessings may not
Mm,
be in the bank account, but certainly in their blessings.
mm,
And if I am a good person to my near and dear ones, I'm a good person to myself also.
mm,
So there is this book which talks about who will cry when you die.
mm,
So being a good person,
mm,
trying to make other people a good
right.
person, trying to understand the other person's perspective. If they've done
Mm,
something, they would have a reason to do it,
mm,
which I think earlier people or earlier even I would not believe. इन्होंने मेरे
mm,
साथ गलत किया. They didn't think how I felt.
mm,
So either I cut off or I give it
mm,
back.
mm,
So now probably I take a step back to understand, and this is what
mm,
I try and explain to people,
mm,
that probably just try and understand why did this happen in the first place.
mm,
You
right.
may get answers, you may
Mm,
not get answers, but cutting off and or probably being revengeful may not be the right thing to do.
mm,
So, and also impacting your own self in the bargain.
mm,
So the state would be a sanguine state, being like cheerful, hopeful, and also confident at the same time about the future.
nice. Wow. It
So
definitely sounds like you've traveled quite the journey to get here and be the kind of person that you are today. And also sounds like you've really absorbed all those lessons, all the courses, the lessons, the like everything it definitely sounds like you've really imbibed that, and the person who's here is very different from maybe, your 2019 avatar or your 2010 avatar, and or even before. And
Hmm.
like you've really absorbed that, right? So a couple of questions, of course, as you would have noticed, even the world since 2020 has changed when it comes to healing, when it comes to coaching. Firstly, that there's actually a market for this, which is a very evident market today compared to, say, 5 years ago, as a fair shift, right? So, how do you see it? And of course, you also have a background in everything to do with money, being
Hmm.
a CA. So how do you see that? Um, One is, how do you see it, and how do you blend both those skills of being a healer and of also being someone who was trained in money management? Because
Mhm.
typically, people say very different things when it comes to, healing versus money, and even when you look at it from a place of energy, right? So how do
Right.
you relate to these two aspects, and how do you blend them in the work that you do today?
So to answer that part, I think I'll put it in two parts. One
Mm-hmm.
is when I learned and when I started pitching that
Mm,
this is what I do,
mm,
and while they would give me all their ears and show that they are listening,
mm,
when it came to, really trying to tell them that, even you need it, you should try it, and this is what I have observed. I notice that people are in a state of complete pretendence.
mm,
That no, I don't think this is there.
mm,
I don't think I'm like that.
mm,
And they're in a complete state of denial.
mm,
And yeah, there is awareness. The second part is there is awareness of healing and there is awareness of various more, modalities.
mm.
But the evolution is yet to
Right.
happen. So there are many doctors, even homeopaths,
Mm,
who know how Bach Flower Remedies work, but still they deny that, some of the things can be done. They are still in a state of denial. We notice that
mm,
there is a complete mix of people, some of them being extremely willing and open that yes, I need to do this, and some
mm,
of them are completely in a state of denial. Vis-a-vis when I come to money matters, if I'm uh, telling someone that I can do your tax return or I can advise you on your money,
mm,
they would not think again, they would not
mm,
like, okay, come, let's do it when we'll sit.
mm,
So
mm,
the willingness is more for management of money
mm,
vis-a-vis the willingness to manage your own self.
mm. Right. And so,
And
d-
thanks to our
mm-hmm. Go ahead. Thanks to her.
thanks to our Instas and
Right.
LinkedIn's and Netflix, so people are probably running away is what I feel.
Mm,
So they feel that there is an issue and they either overthink or
mm,
procrastinate or divert
mm,
rather than acknowledging and addressing
mm,
it.
mm. So today, do you practice,
So
um, like your CA muscle at all, or is it primarily the healing that you focus on?
primarily it is the healing thing
Okay.
because I think the passion lies there now.
Right. Got it. Okay. And how do you, in running the business, how do you find it now as someone who is practicing healing? Like, uh, how do you find, this whole talking about money, asking for money, selling, services? How do you relate to that in the, with the hat of the healer on?
It's not that easy. It's not
Mm,
that easy. So I think, but then I see, as I told you in 2010 to 2019 also I've been there. Uh, After I left my job, I did practice as a CA.
mm,
So when I was making big money while I was in my salary phase
mm,
and servicing multinational companies, when I started practicing, I had multinational companies.
correct.
But when I raised my invoice, I realized they are bargaining, which
Mm,
never happened when I was having that tag of whatever company with me.
right.
So I think God probably gave me a taste of it. So even if you do
Mm,
this, people will bargain. And here as well,
mm,
people do bargain.
right.
So हमने सुना होगा कि
Hmm.
जितना दोगे उतना आएगा,
Huh.
बट व्हेन इट रियली कम्स टू स्पेंडिंग,
Hmm.
it's again a mix. Some people are willingly giving you, you quote
Hmm.
and they give you.
Hmm.
Some
True.
people, because of their own beliefs, they're like, no, I don't think,
Hmm.
I didn't feel the shift.
Right. Right.
So it could
Okay.
either be the money or it could either be the phase that they are in. They are
Hmm.
liking the phase. I
Hmm.
just leave it
Hmm.
because sometimes they are not ready.
Right.
But yeah, money, I think it is a little uh, still not very easy for,
Right.
healing and these kind of things.
Hmm. Right.
So if
So
you go to
another,
a doctor and he charges you, they're happily paying.
right.
Sorry, you were saying something.
No, no, no. It's because these are important questions. The reason why I ask this is also because there are people, who are starting today, right? Like there are people who started around COVID. There are people who started 2 years ago. There are people who are
Hmm.
starting their journey of, wanting to not just receive the healing, but be that vessel, be that source of healing to others. And they're starting today. So the reason why I ask these questions is also because if there's even one person who is inspired, or who is um who feels that, okay, I'm not the only one, the world is not against me. Hey, if Geeta can also experience this and she is able to manage it, then you know it's not so bad, right? So that's really the reason why I'm asking you these questions, because I know this will help other people also kind of breathe that sigh ki, theek hai, it's not like dunya pagal hai or everybody's out to get me. You get all kinds
Hmm.
of people, and people listening to this can get to learn from your story, right? Which brings me to another very, very interesting thing that has happened in the last 5 years, right? I'm sure you've come across this concept of being a personal brand, being your own brand. Like you said, you worked for or with multinational brands, but today you are a brand, right? And if I was to say, so Geeta, did you think 5 years ago you would have your own brand? What would your answer have been?
No, absolutely. I
No,
know. I
right?
never thought that. No.
But the truth is, and reality is that today you are a brand. So when you look at
Yeah.
the the brand that you're building, what are some of the things that you have learned, Geeta, over the last maybe 2 3 years? One is, of course, as you said, you've done many courses along the way, so you've kind of sharpened that, you've honed the skills. But from a brand perspective, like what are some of the things that you have noticed, or what are maybe some stories that you can share with us on this journey of building a brand?
I think it would come eventually building a brand because for me now, right now, I am, focusing on helping
Mm,
people on an individual basis
mm,
and even trying to empower them to understand and imbibe this in their own life and routine.
right.
So, I am not trying to sell Bach Flower Remedies or emotional freedom technique.
Mm,
I am trying to empower them to use it for themselves
mm,
after a subsequent period of time.
right.
So, even from where I learned Bach Flower, the mentor taught me that every house should have a Bach Flower Remedy kit.
Mm,
Like how we have a first aid kit in our house,
correct.
we should have this.
Yeah. So I
So
must say, like,
counseling should be within, like,
full
it should be.
disclosure, I myself, somewhere around the same time, like 2000, what would have been 2007, 8, 9, somewhere at that point, maybe 2008, 2009, even I incidentally came across the remedy. And as you said,
uh,
that every house should have like a bottle of it. And you keep one as almost like an SOS, right? Like
right,
purane zamane mein you would have like a Dettol bottle in most
right, right,
bathrooms,
right.
at least घर पे एक में होगा, kind of a thing, right? Like a handy blast.
Hmm.
So I completely understand what you're saying, that the healing remedy exists and it works. And of course, as you said, it's also about people's faith and belief. People who believe
Right.
it will, swear by it. People who don't will they haven't yet understood the power of it, right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
So to
So,
learn it professionally is a different thing. But what my
mm,
aim would be is to teach everyone
correct.
or to empower everyone to have it at least for your own personal use or your family
Mm,
use.
mm,
Likewise, even EFT. So I am not looking at, setting up a clinic or a counseling or a therapy center where I am addressing,
mm,
say Mr. X, and he keeps coming to me on a weekly or a fortnightly basis. I would want him to get equipped and empowered
mm,
how he could use it for himself,
mm,
only if he's willing to.
of course.
So for
Mm,
that, he needs to understand what are the emotions that he is going through
mm, mm,
and what are the issues surrounding those
got it.
emotions, be it physical or mental,
Right.
and understand how these modalities work
Mm,
and
mm.
probably have them at your home to help you.
Mm, mm, got it. So, question here, of course, Geeta, is like, walk us through like what happens typically in a session now when you work with your clients. Like, what do you? It sounds like you do more of one-on-one rather than group at this point. So, when
Yes.
you work with them one-on-one, how does a session typically go? A reason also I'm asking is that, for someone watching this, maybe this is that solution they were looking for and they didn't know ये होता क्या है, ये कैसे होता है. So, if you like walk us through typically, when someone reaches out to you, what happens? How do you, for lack of a better word, how do you treat them? Like, how does that intake process happen and what happens in the session?
So if I'm allowed to, probably I could, give a case study only
Sure, sure.
because that would be the easiest
Yeah,
way
yeah,
to
yeah.
show how it works.
Mm, mm-hmm.
So if no names, but there was someone who
Sure.
came
Mm,
and she was a practicing lawyer.
mm,
So through a known source, she came and she was like, "I'm really bothered with things happening at my home front,
mm,
and I'm practicing, but now right now I feel it's all a waste of the time, and I should just probably get married and
mm,
settled." So what she's telling me is completely different from what actually the issue was. And then when we sat down over
mm,
a discussion, she started telling that, she's not able to handle clients properly. She's been, delaying her court cases, taking adjournments. She's not
mm,
reading through the files. And she's, probably not thinking that she's done the right thing of choosing this as a career.
mm,
So what comes out is probably a lack of confidence.
mm,
So I directly asked her, do you think that there is a lack of confidence or you think there is a wrong profession that you've picked up?
mm,
She's like, for now, it is lack of confidence. Law is
mm,
something that I really wanted to do and I love the
mm,
subject. So this is how it is. And then I asked her, why suddenly are you feeling this? So because
mm,
if you like the subject and you've
mm,
started a practice, you would have something in mind. She's like, there is no family support, and every
mm,
penny that I'm earning, and I'm having arguments at home.
mm,
My father is advising me to do certain things in a certain way, invest here, invest there. So
mm,
they were from a very, conservative family where they believe
mm.
that money earned should be saved in FDs and recurring
Right.
deposits, and
Mm,
probably go for an LIC, life
mm,
insurance thing
mm,
and all of that. Whereas she had a lot of friends who were investing in the markets
mm,
and they were not investing in the FDs, they were not taking LICs, they were taking
mm,
the new
mm,
insurance plans
mm,
and they were going the market
mm,
way. Her parents were advising her to buy gold for her wedding. She was like, who's even going to wear it? I want to buy
mm,
gold bonds rather.
mm,
So the family drama was impacting her professionally.
mm,
The fact that she couldn't talk to her dad, she couldn't say a no, she couldn't stand for herself was
mm.
impacting her work in a way that, just leave it. I want to just close the whole thing and get married and, I'll see what happens.
Right.
Now, if you go to a doctor, what kind
Mm,
of a medicine would he, prescribe for this?
mm,
So when you come to Bach Flower Remedies, what really happens is you address these emotions where you're feeling stuck, where you're feeling lack of confidence because you're adjourning your cases, you're not handling your clients, you're not reading your files, and all of that you're
mm,
doing. Why? Because in spite of the fact that you're an educated person
mm,
and you're earning, you can't say a no. Probably the
mm,
fear of talking in front of your
mm,
dad. So she had that fear.
mm,
And there is a remedy which you can address, which is you can't stand for yourself and you
mm,
can't really want to. And there is also a remedy which is does things in a way and you get influenced in a way to that. So
mm,
in Bach Flower, there are remedies for all such kind of
mm,
characteristics and emotions, be it confidence, be it fear, be it the ability to say no. There is a
mm,
fear of how do you deal with your dad. And there is something which is a confusion.
mm,
Should I stop my practice and get married? So, a confused state
mm,
of mind. And that's how you address that. So,
mm,
I gave her a back flower mix, which
mm,
probably calmed her down. So, it's not going to change you. It's not that she will become a tutadak and she'll go and fight with her dad, or she'll tell her friends, oh, shut up, I'm going to listen to my dad. It is just calm
mm,
and compose herself down to handle things in a
mm,
better way.
mm,
And alongside what EFT would do is it would instantly, we tap on
mm.
these body meridian points, which is similar to acupuncture but without the needles.
Right.
We tap on those points and we release out the entire thing that is held inside.
Mm,
Like, how do you vent out and you feel really relieved? So if you've had some argument with your boss or your wife, you would meet a friend and you would, suppress the negative emotions. We simply
mm,
don't think that law of attraction and manifestation is working.
mm,
So I should not say negative things. No, EFT is about talking your negative out,
mm,
emptying your heart out. In fact, your deep emotions.
mm.
So her fear with her dad was not a fear of that moment.
Right.
Her fear with her dad was a childhood fear
Mm,
where she wanted to do, something and her dad wanted her to do something else.
mm,
Saying a no led to a lot of argument and disharmony in the home. She was, beaten up and all of that. So she had a lot of grudge against her own father.
mm,
And when
mm.
we started tapping, everything just came out.
Right.
That old grudges, everything came out.
Mm.
And she realized that, her father was, up, her father's upbringing was in that fashion.
Correct.
So her grandfather was very strict, and therefore the
Mm.
father was also strict. He believed that,
Mm.
discipline is the only way.
Right.
Understanding your child's perspective, no, I am the elder one, what I say
Mm.
should be done.
Mm.
Because unki upbringing वैसी हुई थी, he was doing the
Correct.
same thing,
Correct.
which she herself realized. I mean,
Mm.
I didn't have to give any advice. She herself said, yeah,
Mm.
my grandfather was like that, and
Mm.
maybe that's why he is like this. Maybe, I can talk to him. Or maybe
Mm.
I could, take him and go and meet a financial advisor. End of story. आप ये
Mm.
बोल रहे हो, my friends are saying this, I feel I should do this. At the same time, I am fearful and these fights are happening.
Mm.
And closing the law firm was not the solution. Tomorrow she would
Right.
get married. Something would
Mm.
happen. I mean, God forbid, but if something happens there, again the same loop. Now what?
Mm.
Run to another place. So, in Bhaj Flower, there are even these remedies, which come into repetitive patterns. Someone who's
Mm.
had a breakup,
Mm.
6 months again a breakup, 2 months
Mm.
again a breakup.
Mm.
How is it possible? I mean,
Mm.
if it's okay, but if it's bothering you,
Mm.
this pattern of mistakes is repeating. Is it
Right.
something that you're not looking at?
Mm.
Or is it that you're running away from something and
Mm.
therefore you're jumping into relations?
Mm.
So, something like that.
Mm.
My daughter's eczema is one example. My migraine is
Right.
another example. So,
Mm.
there are a lot of things, that we hold on in
True.
our mind,
Mm.
and that makes a lot of difference.
Mm. Right.
So, there's
Mm.
another friend of mine when she was pregnant, her husband wanted a son
Mm.
and daughter hui. So,
Mm.
he accepted. There were no issues. It's just that उसको था कि शायद बेटा होगा क्योंकि पहली बेटी थी.
mm,
But this friend's relation with her daughter was not good at all. And she
mm,
kept complaining, ये सुनती नहीं, ऐसे करती, if I tell her this, blah, blah, blah,
mm,
she's not studying, and.
mm,
The issue was not with the husband at all. The issue was with
mm.
this friend of mine. When she was born, her father did not see her for 3 months at a stretch
Wow.
because her father wanted a son.
Mm,
And therefore, she thought that she was not welcomed in the world. And maybe my
mm.
daughter is also not welcomed. So
Right.
the current friend's husband had no issue with her or the daughter. But उसने अपने
Mm,
दिमाग में सब कहानियां बना दी थी.
correct.
So there is a remedy where you're stuck in the
Mm,
past to an extent that you're spoiling your present,
true.
and that needs to be addressed.
Mm,
So it's a complete set of 38 remedies, for
mm,
different characteristics, different
mm,
emotions,
mm,
different patterns. Like emotions can be as new as yesterday and
mm,
can be as old as childhood. कोई बोलता है
mm,
ये तो बचपन से ही गुस्सेल है यार, इसको कुछ भी
mm,
बोल दो, इसकी नाक पे गुस्सा बैठा हुआ है. So that remedy, of course, will have to be taken for a longer period of time because
mm,
it is a type remedy.
mm,
You are an angry person, but why? कुछ हुआ
mm,
होगा.
mm.
जब तक वो ट्रिगर होगा, probably वो remedy लो.
Right.
And for an instant calmness, like
Mm,
till you go to the doctor to get your fever tested, whether it's a
mm,
random fever, a viral, or a malaria,
mm,
the whole journey might take time. Batch flower may take time. So what you do instantly is you tap and you release it
mm.
out
Right.
for that moment, and
Mm,
you feel better.
right.
So people even tap
Beautiful.
when they have to go for a job interview.
Mm,
They're feeling very nervous. They know, of course, job interview is not something which is just happened now. You applied, your
mm,
interview is scheduled,
mm.
you have to go,
Correct.
and still you're feeling jittery. So there is a lot of fear.
Mm,
So to develop that courage to face the interview, you could, just tap maybe while you're driving or you're in the cab, or when you're at the venue, just go to the washroom and tap for 5 minutes and
mm,
get your sanity back.
mm. Amazing.
So,
So it definitely sounds, and it's beautiful that you've shared, different examples to give people an idea of literally what happens in a session. Uh, this brings me to a slightly different question, which is again, you talked about anxiety, before an exam or before an interview. This is something that gives a lot of people who are in this space of, especially healers, this next question is a trigger for a lot of healers, coaches to an extent, but definitely healers. And that's everything to do with marketing, right? So, what has
hmm.
your experience been over these last couple of years in, designing your, your message, your presence? Like when you, like, it's like saying, how do you get clients? That would be the most typical question. But my question to you would be, when you um think about marketing. It could be digital marketing or just marketing so that more people get to know what you do, how you do it, and there are clients that show up to be benefited by what you can offer them. What's that journey been like for you? And I'll say it more from a journey perspective, like over these last maybe 3.5 years. How has that journey been for you so far, Geeta?
uh, so I'm not a part of the rat race,
Okay,
while my
good.
intention is to be a coach
Mm,
because I may not have used the word coach, but
mm,
as I told you in my earlier discussion, I'm not here to call Mr. X repetitive to me. I
right.
want him to be empowered. So yeah, my
Mm,
intention is to be a coach.
mm,
As regards the marketing,
mm,
I think I am working right now on the way of organic marketing. So there is
mm,
no digital marketing, and we have a large population in our country.
mm,
So I think when it's time for the digital way, it would certainly happen. So I have done a few webinars. I
mm,
have done a few sessions in colleges.
Nice.
I have done a few sessions in various societies,
Mm.
and so it's going slow but going good,
Nice.
because from the place where I come, from the place of logic,
Mm.
I want people to experience it and understand it for
Mm.
themselves rather than
Mm.
do it because I am saying. So I want them to do it
Mm.
because it works, not because CA Gita Mansukhani is saying.
Correct.
And so it may not be the right way or the right thing to do for everyone,
Mm.
but it's the way for me it is right now.
Beautiful. I must pause here and say, just the way you started this answer says a lot about who you are and where you are on the journey. When you said that, you are not in the rat race, high five to you. Because again, especially today, it's very easy to get caught up in, as you said, the rat race. And especially because a lot of people would have, you know, and have quit their jobs to become healers and coaches, only to realize that they're in a rat race all over again, right? Whether it is
Absolutely.
courses karo, webinar karte jao, and there's no, again, on its own, there's nothing wrong with each of those elements, as you also rightly have noticed that when the time is right, that it will be the
Hmm.
thing that you'll be doing. But
Right.
हर चीज का वक्त होता है, and as you have so intuitively realized that you know right now it's about doing the work. Right now it's about people logically seeing that, hey, this works, right?
Hmm.
And you've obviously developed your own processes to be able to help people take that first step, saying, you know what, test this remedy out. Don't take my word for it, test it out, see how it works, right? See how
Right.
it impacts you. If it does, and you want more, or you want a protocol so that you can do this, you don't have to keep coming back to me, but you learn this and then you can do this continuously
Right.
on your own, right? So that
Right.
definitely
Absolutely.
sounds like you're definitely somebody who has understood this, because a lot of people, and I see this, I've been, as I said, I've been not just in this space for more than 2 decades, but especially when you talk about digital marketing, I've been studying it very, very intently for the last 9 years. And a lot of people tend to get sucked into the I must, and then fill in the blank. I must do
Right.
a webinar every week. I must do I must create content a certain way, and so on and so forth. So kudos to you to have figured that out that right now I am where I'm meant to be, and I'm doing the things that I'm doing that are obviously benefiting people who you want to help, right? So, which brings me to
Hmm.
another very important question, and it'll be interesting to hear your answer to it. And this is basically on the theme, and this is something that I call the journey of mentors, right? So, who are these people, Geeta, that you have come across who have shaped your journey? Reason why I ask that is because in this work that we do, there's a reason why you would have met certain people who were your mentors at different points in time. Like you mentioned, 2010, that phase. Then you mentioned 2019 and that phase. And at every stage, you would have come across these people who just somehow you resonated with their energy. And obviously, they had something that they could teach you.
Right.
So you were able to absorb that. And today, what you do is an amalgamation of the various processes, the various tools, techniques, methodologies that you have absorbed, and you have blended it into something that is truly yours, right?
Hmm.
So in getting to this point, I'd love for you to share, who these people were and how they helped you. The reason also why I asked this is like today we've done quite a number of these podcasts, but something I realized after maybe the first 25 or so was that this is one question I wasn't asking people. And I don't know why it is, but sometimes people are not very forthcoming with who were their mentors, right? Two ways of looking at that is I didn't ask the question, so they didn't say it. And otherwise, it would be, like I had this mentor and I learned this. But the name of the mentor sometimes gets left behind for whatever reasons, right? So that's why I
Hmm.
personally, took it as my karma that I am going to, ask my guests to share their
Right.
journey and the names of people, because also sometimes just hearing the name from you can become a resource for somebody else who is on a similar journey, you know. And
Right, right.
so as a healer who's on the journey, they can say, oh yeah, I remember CA Gita was mentioning ki ha, this person came into her life and she learned this technique from her or him.
Hmm.
And that, who knows, that could be, you know, the difference in their journey as well. So I'd love for
Absolutely.
you to share, like, who are some of these amazing people that, you know, came into your life, and
Right.
it's another beautiful way to express your gratitude for what you've received. Of
Yeah. Also flaunting. So I don't think there's anything to shy away from, because
course.
it is because of them, the
Mm,
transformation has happened in a way,
correct.
because something that connected. So there is a
Mm,
connect first that happens, and then the journey begins.
correct.
So, I mean, even if I have to, just name the recent ones, I have learned my EFT from Mr. Akash Garg,
Mm,
who coincidentally is a chartered accountant
mm,
also before being an EFT coach.
mm,
So, I have learned EFT from him,
mm,
and I am an EFT coach also myself.
mm,
And my Bach Flower Remedies I have learned from Suchitra Hari.
mm,
So, she is the one who introduced me to this on a professional level. So, as I
mm,
told you, I was consuming, taking earlier
right.
the remedies,
Mm,
going to the shop and purchasing it for myself. But to
mm,
understand in detail how it works and what is
mm,
it,
mm.
she was the beautiful soul who introduced me to this.
Wow.
And yeah, so Reiki I have learned from Mrs. Bhairavi Desai, who's another beautiful soul, and
Mm,
she is also completely into an organic way of coaching
mm,
Reiki and other modalities
mm,
of, empowering oneself into mindful living and
mm,
a balanced living.
mm,
So that's it. And if I can name my real little beautiful cousin, who I
mm.
call her little, but she's my godmother, because in 2010 she was the one who took me through all of this
Right.
without any certifications.
Mm,
So my cousin Poonam Mahindra, she introduced
nice.
me to all these concepts of emotional well-being, mental well-being, and it's more than logic and more than money that matters in
Mm,
life. That's where the inception really happened.
mm,
That's where the conception of my emotional and spiritual journey
mm,
began.
mm.
So I
Amazing.
understood from her initially. I
Mm,
used to borrow books from her. I used
mm,
to attend courses with her, and
mm.
so it was all a beautiful
Nice.
bouquet of beautiful people
Mm,
who've helped me to be where I am
yeah,
today.
yeah.
And yeah,
Beautiful.
it's still an ongoing process. So I'm not saying that I'm an anger-free person.
Mm.
I get angry. I have my low days. I have my confidence days. I have my days. But I now
Mm.
know how do I address them.
Correct.
I don't
Correct.
suppress it. I address
Mm.
it.
Mm. Nice. I love
So
that. I don't suppress it, I address it. That's a line for a sticker.
yeah, actually. So if I decide the digital thing, I might use it there.
Right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So,
Mm.
maybe one final question for this round of the pod, Geeta, which is, you know, is there something that you're currently doing? Maybe you're writing a book, or maybe you're planning something that more people can, you know, get to hear you, get to be in your space, even if it is, let's say, maybe you're creating a community. As you said, you know, the work you're doing one to one at present, but if there's something that, you know, this is an opportunity for people who are listening to it today, they may find this, you know, 3 months, 6 months, or even a year from now, right? Is there something that, um,
Right.
you know, you like where they can find you? Of course, we've already shared all the links, but is there, you know, is there something, some program or course that you're currently creating that you'd want more people to know about?
I'd like to answer this in two parts.
Mm-hmm.
One, first being is if someone's meant to connect with me,
Mm-hmm.
will connect with me in any which
Mm.
ways. The universe will,
Correct. Correct.
arrange for it
Mm.
and make it a way
Mm.
to do that.
Mm.
This was the high level or ऊपर से गया हुआ बात.
Correct. Correct.
But having said that, I have a few things on my to-do list. One of which
Mm.
is beginning to write a book,
Nice.
a blog,
Mm.
maybe start something on YouTube or a digital platform.
Mm.
But I'm not in a hurry for that.
Mm.
It's all in the way, in the
Right.
process.
Mm.
I'm in way of doing that. So
Mm.
maybe थोड़ा वो फिल्मी हो जाएगा if I quote कि पहले अपनी गेंद ऊंची करो फिर आवाज.
Wow.
So for me, I have the phrase of having a big amount of people, who know
Mm.
me by word of mouth. So my
Mm.
organic thing really matters to me. So once
Mm.
I have that, meanwhile, I'll work on this alongside
Mm.
and, we'll do it that way. And
Right.
if we have to meet, we will meet for sure.
Correct.
Whoever
Correct.
that person is,
Correct.
whoever.
True.
And if not, as I told you, there are umpteen number of
Mm.
coaches and people who are doing
Mm.
various beautiful modalities of healing.
Mm.
And whatever suits each one. So someone may go with a music therapy, someone may go with Reiki, someone may go with
Mm.
past life regression.
Correct.
So whatever suits you, you know.
Mm.
The idea is to live a better life.
Mm. True. Right. Beautiful.
So there are umpteen
Mm.
number of doctors in every area, be it
Mm.
MBBS, be it pediatricians, be it, and everyone is doing good for himself
Yeah.
or herself.
Yeah.
So
True.
even healers and coaches will
Mm.
do.
Mm.
There is no doubt about it.
Mm.
So
Mm.
सबका
Amazing.
time आएगा.
Bilkul, bilkul. And especially now more than ever before, right? So must say that it's definitely been
Yeah, yeah.
a pleasure, and I've really enjoyed coming along with you on the journey and listening to the twists and the turns and all the the little pieces that all came together, and that has made you into who you are today and the work that you're doing. And definitely wishing you many more success stories and much more success in the time to come. And that in the way that you're approaching it, which is you're taking your time with this, you're being very, very, very mindful of the work that you're doing, and that says a lot. You're not getting caught up in the latest trend or the fad. You're looking at this long term. So wish you the very best in all that is to come to you. And Geeta, may you continue to be that beacon for so many others, and may they find you, and the many remedies that you blend together powerfully. Yeah. So thank you for taking the time to be on the pod today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rahul. Thanks a lot.
It's been an honor. And of course, for those of you who are tuned in, who've maybe watched this live, if you've reached this point, remember, there's something that you've really connected to Gita's spirit. And, as Gita herself said it, if you're meant to connect with her, you will. Of course, we are sharing her links so you can reach out to her. And, wishing you the very best in the work that you're doing, especially if you're a healer, if you're a coach. We know what it is to walk this path, and you know what it is to walk this path. And so may you continue to do so. And of course, we keep doing these pods, we keep recording these through the month. So look forward to many more of these wonderful, powerful, curated podcasts like we did ours today. And Geeta, once more, thank you so much for your energy, your presence, and wish you all the best in
Thank
all
you,
that
Rahul.
you're
Thank
doing.
you for having me. Thank you
Amazing.
so much.
Thank you.